It's Mortal Friday, everyone. That's right, Mortal Kombat 1 is here, and we are going to be covering it fully starting today. But before all of that, I've got one of the most jam-packed shows ever with insano amounts of gaming news that happened yesterday. So prepare your butts for Phil's day off, news, and all kinds of fun stuff coming up on today's Level 1 podcast. Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to the show and welcome to a brand new streaming week. Today is Friday, the 15th of September, 2023. Mortal Friday for me. Although if you bought the higher end special edition of Mortal Kombat 1 digitally, you could have been playing the game as of yesterday. But as you guys know, I had to have yesterday off for scheduling reasons. But I'm here. And it is time to jump back into the realm of Mortal Kombat for the first time in many years. Man. As you can see, I'm decked out. I'm ready. I even considered playing the Mortal Kombat theme from the 1990s movie on stream today until I found out that YouTube not only claims but blocks streams to do it, so I couldn't do that. But anyway, I'm excited for today, obviously. And today will mark the beginning of my coverage of the game. And I have a lot to say about that because already with one day of this game being out, there's apparently a lot to be said about it, which we will do in a moment. But we got so much else to do on today's show. Yesterday, were not one, but two different digital gaming conferences, Nintendo and Sony, both showing their deck of cards, so to speak, and basically delivering crazy amounts of news in regards to upcoming new releases. Games we had no idea were even in development. We got new re-releases, HD remakes, all kinds of stuff. Release dates for games we've been waiting for release date info for ages. So we got a lot to talk about on today's show. And of course, yesterday was also my day off. So we've got the Phil's Day Off segment to talk about. Wow. I mean, where do you even begin, right? I guess here's what we'll do. Let's go in logical order. We'll start talking about Wednesday and yesterday. So we'll talk about the gameplay I did, and we'll also talk about Phil's Day Off. Then we'll talk about today's games in the schedule, and then we'll talk about all the game news. This may be a long podcast, and or we may not have time for any Q&A at this rate, okay? All right. 2 days ago on Wednesday, I did a major stream of Starfield, and I would say it was one of the best streams of Starfield I've done over 20 hours into this game. We focused pretty much solely on the Freestar Collective plotline, and because of that, there was tons of stuff that I didn't expect. Like, for example, a ginormous space battle where you had to fight like 6 or more spaceships in a gauntlet setting. I couldn't even do it with my current ship, which is actually not the standard ship, but the one that I had gotten from a side quest. Still wasn't good enough. I had to go and like power up all the weapons on this ship in order to do it. So definitely my first taste of serious space combat in this game. Then after that, we went into a bunker, essentially, and had to fight ridiculous amounts of kind of like mercenaries or whatever. It was nuts. It was like an hour of straight up combat, the most combat I have done in Starfield yet. And the good news is, I leveled up a lot. I got a whole new slew of weapons and things that are now better than the ones that I was using. So it was pretty rewarding. And we even had this kind of like, well, not really epilogue, but an ending to the quest line. We didn't get to finish the entire quest. So I don't actually know if that's the end or if I'm going to get like a better reward. But it was really fun. So for those of you who like Bethesda games and a lot of people have criticized Starfield and said, man, it just seems like Starfield is just a lot of talking. I mean, that is true, but this was an example of a major quest line in the game, getting far in it, and exactly what it's going to be like when we get through those quest lines. I thought it was well done, and I really enjoyed it, although the gauntlet of combat was very grueling. Once I got to the end, I was like, wow, that's just cool. You get a good big story epilogue and everything to this big plot line. I'm like, this is good. So, I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you didn't see it yet, please give it a look here on DSPGaming. Starfield will be on hiatus for several days. It'll probably come back on Monday, just so you guys know. So we have time for Mortal Kombat over the weekend. But that was a really good session, okay? By the way, we're supposedly having our final 2 days of hot weather here in Washington State. I say that as I turn my air conditioner on higher. Mid-80s today, Fahrenheit. Tomorrow still in the 80s. But then after that, every day it gets lower and lower, all the way down to the 60s. And supposedly that's it. And then we're in real fall weather, which would be great considering autumn starts here in 6 days. So once autumn hits, I can open up my window. We don't have the air conditioner blasting anymore. It'll be a lot less atmospheric noise here in the office. I'll actually be able to hear the games I'm playing much better. I'll be able to hear the music and stuff way better now for the fall gaming season. So fingers crossed this happens sooner rather than later. Okay? Anyway, the other thing that I did on Wednesday was a late stream of Street Fighter 6 playing with Lily in the Diamond ranks. Now, as I've told you guys, this is going to be a very tough climb for Lily. Why? Because Lily is arguably the worst character in Street Fighter 6. There's a little bit of disagreement. Some people think Zangief's the worst character, and others think it's Lily. I kind of dance back and forth. I think both characters have strong suits and very big weaknesses, but their weaknesses are very similar. They're both very slow. They don't have ginormous great combos, and they really don't have good ways to get out of a corner mix-up situation. They don't have true reversals that get them out of pressure. That's bad. But I've been playing with Lily since the launch of Street Fighter 6 3.5 months ago, and I like the character despite the fact that she's so low tier. So I have been doing my best to get her ranked up in Street Fighter 6. So Wednesday night we had a ranked session. I'll be honest, it didn't go great because I fought a lot of top tiers. A ton of Kens, Juries, JPs, Guiles, DJs, and every time you face one of these top tier characters, they have a ridiculous advantage over Lily. Just, if they hit you once, they pretty much have won the game, because if they push you to the corner, you have to get lucky or the game is over. With her, the opposite is true. You have to hit once, and then you must play perfectly. You can't drop a combo. You can't get an incorrect move. You have to maintain your pattern, because remember, she always needs to have a win charge in order to win a match. Without win charge, she sucks. So if you don't get the win charge, you're pretty boned. And that's really her major shortcoming at this point is, man, you go to do the win charge and you miss it, or you do the input, the game gives you a different input, you're done. That's the end of the round. You're like, wow, that's so frustrating. And so, Wednesday night session didn't go so well. Just so you guys know, I played a bunch of matches, and by the end of the night, I had played around, 80 matches. 39 wins, 42 losses, only a 48% win-loss ratio. That's not good. The good news is I did hit 3-star diamond ranking, but it was really tough going. Like I said, almost every single time I played against the top tier, it was just like a spanking with no real way to get around. Like, for example, Jury, oh my god, Jury dominates her. All of her normals are better than Lily's, so every time she presses a button, you gotta block. You can't do anything. Everything will get stuffed by every attack she does. You have to look for an opening where she's messing up to really do anything effective. It's annoying, okay? So anyway, that was Wednesday night. Now, what we should do is transition into my very fan-favorite segment that we do every week that we like to call Phil's Day Off. In this segment, I will tell you about what I did yesterday during my day off from streaming. Or was it? Well, let's talk about that. All right. So yesterday was my day off from streaming. And unlike last week where I had a very busy week full of tons of things that I needed to do and that my wife and I had appointments, we were going out, I did have one appointment, but it was a minor one. And outside of that, I had a lot of errands and things to run. All right? So it wasn't a crazy day where we had to be out all day and stuff like that. So I did all my usual errands. I went grocery shopping. Oh, by the way, this was a really unfortunate week. You see, because unlike last week where I went grocery shopping, this week when I went grocery shopping, just listen to this, I went grocery shopping with the entire chorus line of the Radio City Rockettes. You know, the New York City, they have the big musical show they do every year. I was there with the entire chorus, and we were arm in arm, and we were walking through the supermarket together, and we were doing the can kicks. We were like, dun, 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 dun. But no one was there to see me for some reason. I don't know. I was a little disappointed. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's because there's idiots on the internet who claim that they're stalking me and saying dumb shit about me every week. It's complete bullshit. But, nonsensical stuff like that. Anyway, I did my usual stuff. I grocery shopped. I ran some errands, got some pet supplies, stuff like that. Nothing too major or anything like that. Actually, my wife and I did a bunch of cleaning in the house yesterday. There was a few things we wanted to get done and clean up a little bit, and we did. It was a more relaxed day, for sure, which was nice. So when we decided to order food, we didn't know what we wanted to get. And basically, my wife's like, let's do something different. Okay, let's just order from somewhere we never tried before. So she's looking and she's like, what about this place? It's supposed to be like a Szechuan Chinese place, and we've never ordered from it before. Okay, so I ordered, it was supposed to be black bean pepper chicken or something like that. And she ordered like cashew chicken. And we also ordered an appetizer that's supposed to be like, I forget what it's called, but I guess it's supposed to be a traditional Chinese dish where it's like pancakes or potato pancakes with green onion in them, and they cut it up into like fours, and so you dip it in like soy sauce. It's like an appetizer. Okay, so we order this, right? So the food shows up, and the first thing we notice is that the food has dripped and seeped into the bag. The bag is full of sauce. So immediately when you get delivery and you see that, you know that this place sucks. Seriously, like that's the first indication. If they don't even know how to package their food, that it doesn't create a giant mess situation on the way to be delivered, they obviously don't know what they're doing, and they're not a very good restaurant, right? So we get the food out, and mine is the one that leaked everywhere. So I got to put down like freaking paper towels all over our table so it doesn't go all over the place. And so we put the containers down. So the first thing we notice is that the appetizer is in this tiny little container like this, and we're like, that's supposed to be like a full-size appetizer for multiple people. We opened it up, and it's like the most skimpy thing you've ever seen. First of all, you think, oh, potato pancakes with scallion or green onion, it'll be crispy. They are completely rubbery and soggy. You can tell these were probably made earlier in the day in a big batch, and they probably just threw them in a microwave, okay? Taste one, completely gross flavor. You cannot taste green onion at all. All you taste is a weird dough flavor, and it tastes very odd, like there's some preservative or something in there. It just tastes really, really weird. So immediately like, well, that's a complete waste of money. They taste disgusting. We're not going to eat those, right? And by the way, it's tiny. It's like really small little things. The picture they show when you're ordering makes it look like it's giant wedges. It's not. They're tiny. They're like this small, little wedges. They're like, what the hell is this? So it's complete junk, okay? Then we try to eat our main courses. It's the most bland food we've eaten in years. Seriously. This thing is devoid of flavor. All you can taste is a little bit of salt, and that's about it. My wife had cashew chicken. That's supposed to have a savoriness mixed with a sweetness. All you can taste is salt. Mine is supposed to be this black bean and pepper chicken. There is no pepper flavor whatsoever. There's no bean flavor whatsoever. It's just the same exact sauce that was in my wife's food. It's not good at all. The only flavor you could taste, like you taste a little bit of onion and a little bit of pepper because there's green and red peppers in there. The chicken is completely flavorless and bland, and it's just gross. And like, wow, what a disappointment that we decided to order out, for our day off and just try something different. Not one of our tried and true places that we would get, and it's just a horrible place. And the thing is, out here, all right, there's a lot of Asian food, but mostly it's Japanese, including sushi, teriyaki, as well as dim sum. There's a lot of Vietnamese food, like pho places and other stuff. Or actually it's pho, right? You pronounce it pho? Pho places and stuff like that. There's Thai food. There's so many cuisines that are Asian cuisines. Indian food is huge out here too. But there's not a lot of Chinese food. And I think that's why, I guess there's not much of a Chinese population out here. So it's everything but Chinese. We go for a Chinese meal, and it's absolutely terrible. It was really, really bad. We were very disappointed, and we didn't even eat that much of it because it didn't taste good. It was a complete ripoff, and we'll never order from there again. So, after that, basically my wife wanted to play some Starfield. It's our day off. It's the game she's been playing now for almost 2 weeks. She loves Starfield, although, admittedly, she doesn't like all of it. She really doesn't like the space combat. Even having an improved ship, because she has a much better ship than I do, she still doesn't like the space combat. And she has all these abilities to disarm and disable ships and stuff, and she doesn't like it either. She's like, nah. And there's other things, like her game has crashed. I think she started counting at least 10 times since she was playing, and it keeps making her lose progress. And like, I know it sucks that Bethesda in this day, they're still pumping out new games that aren't polished at all. She keeps coming against game bugs and game crashes, and that's driving her nuts. She still loves the game. She's way ahead of me. She's completed multiple faction quest lines and everything. So when she plays, if I watch, I'm completely spoiled, okay? So she's like, I just want to play for a little bit. And I said, all right, well, I mean, I could go upstairs and, like, take a nap, but, I mean, maybe I'll do something productive. And I was thinking in my head, man, I really didn't get a good session in of Lily yesterday in Street Fighter 6. It was disappointing. Maybe I'll just do another random session of Lily, because I know that I'm not going to be playing Street Fighter at least for another week or 2 weeks. I don't know yet. Maybe I should just play some Street Fighter. So my wife's like, yeah, go ahead. She's like, take a couple of hours. It'll only be a couple of hours. And then after that, we'll relax together after. We'll watch some TV or whatever. All right, fine. So that's what we did. So I came up here and I did an impromptu stream of Street Fighter 6 last night, which blew everyone away. Everyone was like, oh my God, I can't believe Phil is streaming on his day off. He never does this. So it ended up being very fun. And in fact, get this, it was one of my better sessions with Lily, even though I was at the 3-star diamond level and the competition's getting hotter and heavier and way more competitive. I actually did much better yesterday than I did the day before, and most of the sessions of Lily I've been doing on PS5. So I was about 2 hours of gameplay. It was about 50 matches, 31 wins, 23 losses, a 57% win-loss ratio. And it was tough because I was like right at the edge of getting to 4-star diamond. And then I lost. And then I win, then I lose, and I was pinballing back and forth at the edge of 4-star diamond. I got it, but then I completed the set and I lost, and I lose it, and then I get it back and I lose. Finally, by the end of the night, I won the set and I secured my 4-star diamond ranking with Lily. So I'm at 4-star diamond now with her, and it looks like I'll be, moving onward and upward. Good gameplay yesterday. If you didn't see it, actually some of the most solid gameplay I've done with Lily. I actually had some pretty good combos, hit confirms, some really close calls where it looked like I was about to lose, and then all of a sudden I would, boom, counter hit, 3-hit combo, cancel into super, and, win the match. So there was some good stuff there, honestly. Some good mix-ups with the throws and everything. Although, admittedly, now I'm definitely starting to get annoyed at the input reader in Street Fighter 6. And here's what I mean by that. Everyone in the community has been complaining about this, and now it's time for me to start too. Seriously. Half the time now, when I'm trying to do a critical move, I get the wrong move. And it's not just me. All of the Street Fighter 6 players are saying this, that the game has too much lax inputs, and it keeps thinking you're doing stuff you're not doing. So, for example, from full screen away, I do quarter circle, down back, light punch to get my wind charge. And the game says, oh, you did 360 grab attempt. I tapped back twice to step back. I went to neutral, meaning no input, and then I did down back punch. The game read back, down back punch as a full circle. Sure, if you say so, but that's been happening a lot. And a lot of people have been complaining about this. It's pretty sad. And I'm not saying that specific instance. I'm just saying a lot of there's memes about it on the internet. I actually saw a meme on it yesterday. A guy's playing, and all of a sudden, a phantom guy in like a hoodie runs up and starts pressing buttons on his controller, and then runs out of the room. It's like, haha, the input reader strikes again. So it is a problem. They made the inputs of Street Fighter 6 too lax, and when you're in a heated fight, if you're playing something, anyone who's more complicated, someone who's not just a basic pattern play, but instead you're trying to do something more intricate or fast or on reaction, you'll end up getting the wrong move a lot of the time. And a lot of people are frustrated at this. I am too. You know, it'd be one thing if I was a top tier character and if the wrong move comes out, it doesn't matter because I'm still safe. With Lily, if you get the wrong thing, you're boned, you know? But even with that, I had a really great session yesterday. And by the way, I want to say thanks to anyone who showed up. The attendance was good. We had almost 400 people on the impromptu stream, and people supported the stream, which I wasn't looking for. I wasn't asking for any contributions or anything, and they just came. And I was like, well, thank you all so very much. Really, I appreciate that. I was just doing it to kill some time while my wife played some Starfield, and it ended up working out because I got a nice big chunk of ranking with Lily. Now, after having had these sessions with Lily this week, and in light of something else that we're about to start talking about, I think I may actually play Street Fighter 6 this week, the final stream of the week, Wednesday night. I think I may do a late night ranked session of Street Fighter 6. That way, I'm not going to get rusty at the game. I'm a little nervous that if I'm not playing it like once a week, that I might get very rusty. And I'm on a roll right now with Lily. Like, I got her from 1-star diamond to 4-star diamond in like 3-4 sessions. I want to keep that momentum going. So I think I might play Street Fighter 6 on the late stream Wednesday night. We'll talk more about that later in the week as we see how the week goes. But I think it might make sense, okay? But anyway, that's how we're going in Street Fighter 6. By the way, we're almost up to 5,000 total matches. I have 2,792 wins. 1,819 losses for a 60% win rate. But if you do the math there, you know, we're around like 4,700 matches. We're almost at 5,000 total matches of Street Fighter 6 played, which is insane, right? Pretty crazy. And thank you again for watching the content and supporting it, all right? So now, let's talk about today, okay? Excuse me. Mortal Kombat 1, all right? So here's the deal. Mortal Kombat 1 released yesterday, and everyone who played early or paid early to get it, or people who got free copies, yes, I know, it's ridiculous, but they got early copies yesterday, have started to play it. The consensus is as follows so far, okay? The story is good. People are enjoying the story. Although I'm seeing conflicting stories. Some people said the story is 8 hours long, and others are like, no, it's around 6. I don't get how you can have that conflict. It's the same story mode. You know what I mean? How do you get 2 completely different hours? Like, what were you doing for those 2 hours? I don't get it. Like, unless you really suck and you keep losing to the same fight over and over or something. But usually in Mortal Kombat, the story mode isn't that challenging. Maybe the final boss is, but that's about it. So I don't really know what would take so long. You know. But anyway, like I said, 6 to 8 hours. We'll see how long it takes us. But people are saying the story mode is good. The invasion mode. All right, I haven't seen a lot about it. People are talking about it and saying they're enjoying it, but I'm not seeing much about what it exactly it is. I guess it's a series of challenge matches with criteria and stuff like that. Here's the thing. In order to actually unlock all the content of Mortal Kombat 1, you have to finish the story, because apparently that unlocks a playable character, and you have to actually play invasion mode, not endlessly, but you have to play some of it. Excuse me. And once you do, you unlock the cameo fighters. So apparently, yeah, that's the situation, is you have to basically play through these modes in order to unlock all the content of the game regardless. So even if I said, oh, I want to go right to multiplayer, I wouldn't have all the stuff unlocked. I would have to do these modes anyway, okay? So it makes sense to play through these modes first, okay? Now, of course, the game also has a tutorial mode. And I understand the basics of Mortal Kombat, but every Mortal Kombat, they change gameplay mechanics. So I don't know how many new gameplay mechanics have been added into this game or not. I probably should do the tutorial mode. It would be pretty dumb if I don't, because then I feel like I'm going to be not understanding half the gameplay mechanics when I try to play the game. So I probably have to do it. Now, I've heard it's a very in-depth tutorial mode. So we'll see how it goes. But I definitely want to try to learn the new game mechanics and things before we get started with the story. So that's probably what we're doing today, is we'll go to tutorial mode. If the easy stuff, I'll try to blow through it real fast. I understand basics of combos. I understand the basics of juggles. I understand, you know, that. But I need to know, what are the new moves? Like in Mortal Kombat 11, there was wake-up moves. I think they removed those now. But now they have something new. Like, I need to know that. What's the new thing? And also, I don't really understand how cameos are implemented. That's really the thing I need to learn the most. Like, how are the cameos implemented the most? So I need to learn this. Okay? So that's why I need to do the tutorial, or else I'm not going to understand these mechanics. So that's the goal of today, is do the tutorial and start the story mode. I'm playing MK1 all day long today. So even if the tutorial takes a while, we'll still get to the story mode and everything. Don't worry, there'll be good content on today's Mortal Kombat 1 streams, okay? So if you gotta be a little patient, please do. But I think that we're gonna get to good stuff today, regardless. I'm playing it all day. All right, now, here's the thing, okay? Basically, from everything I'm seeing on the internet, I hate to say it, because this is disappointing to me. I feel like what they've done with Mortal Kombat 1, which is the stupidest name, they're basically catering to their 2000s era audience. What does that mean? Do you guys know the history of Mortal Kombat? I'll give you a little bit of a summary. In the 1990s, fighting games were becoming incredibly popular in arcades. Street Fighter 2 had revolutionized the genre, and now every single company wanted to jump on the bandwagon and be a competitor in this marketplace. So when Mortal Kombat came out, it focused on gore, okay? It wanted to have as much gore as possible. That was a risque game, right? That's why it was popular. It wasn't popular for the gameplay mechanics. In fact, I would even argue Mortal Kombat wasn't a sound competitive game until Mortal Kombat 3. 1 and 2 were not balanced games. Mortal Kombat 2, there's 2 characters, Jax and Mileena. No, really, that's it. That's the whole game. No one else actually is good in the game. They all suck. Jax and Mileena are dominant, and there's really no other competition, okay? So, that's the deal, is basically, without having a level of competitive edge, Mortal Kombat was always known for being the gory game. Did it have tournaments? It did, but it was never as prominent as Street Fighter, okay? When Mortal Kombat 4 came out in arcades, it flopped. Mortal Kombat 4 was the first one that had 3D graphics. The game was buggy as shit. Even after multiple revisions, it did not do well compared to the first 3 games. So after that, Midway, it didn't used to be NetherRealm, they used to just be Midway, decided that they just wanted to make Mortal Kombat home games from then on. They would only be exclusively on consoles, no more arcade versions of the games. When they did that, this was the era of the 2000s Mortal Kombat. So you're talking about Deception and Deadly Alliance, Armageddon, all those games. They did incredibly well on console, but they completely lost their way as competitive games. They weren't balanced. They weren't meant to be. They were essentially meant to be gory party games. You get it, you play it with your friends. There's like 40, 50 characters in the game. Each character has insane gore, brutalities, fatalities, babalities, you know what I mean? Like just over the top stuff. But that's what they were known for, to be prominent. It was basically fan service for people who liked the gore, but it wasn't meant to be something serious for competitive fighting games. They didn't even really hold tournaments or anything, all right? Now, what ended up happening was, when Street Fighter 4 came out in 2009, and it, again, reinvigorated the fighting game scene, everyone wanted to jump on that bandwagon, and what Midway, which now became NetherRealm, decided to do was to reboot the Mortal Kombat franchise and redevelop the games in a more serious way so that they could be considered competitive again. And they were. Mortal Kombat 1, which actually it was called Mortal Kombat. Are you aware of that? That Mortal Kombat 9 was not called Mortal Kombat 9 at release. It was just called Mortal Kombat because they were trying to do a hard reboot of the series. So Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat 10 and Mortal Kombat 11 were redesigned to basically be more serious fighting games again. They wanted this game to be taken seriously by the competitive community and to become more prominent in those circles. And to some extent they did, but not for a long time. For whatever reason, while Street Fighter and Tekken usually had longevity, Mortal Kombat games, and even then later the Injustice franchise, which is the other game franchise that NetherRealm was making, they would basically last in competitive circles for anywhere from like 6 to 12 months, and then basically people wouldn't really care about them anymore. They'd become side games or whatever. People wouldn't competitively take them that seriously, mostly for balancing issues, but they tried. They really did try to redesign these games to make them feel like they were supposed to be competitive, okay? So, oh, by the way, we're done with the Phil's Day Off segment. Oops. I probably should have gotten rid of that. And so, basically, now, with Mortal Kombat 1, it feels like they're doing a second reboot, right? It is. It's literally a second timeline reboot. Well, if you haven't noticed, if you take a look at the cast of Mortal Kombat 1, half the cast are characters from the 2000s era Mortal Kombat. You know, they're bringing back characters like Nitana and characters I never even heard of. Like, who are they? Oh, they're from 2000s era Mortal Kombat. Oh, I don't even know who they are. And they've brought them back in a way to try to, I think, do fan service to the people of that era. It kind of feel like the last trilogy, Mortal Kombat 9 through 11, was meant to be a tribute to those who played Mortal Kombat in the 90s. Well, now they're pushing this game in the direction of those who played it in the 2000s, so now it's fan service for them. You understand? But there's a problem with that. There's a big problem with that. I'm watching people play this game online. This game is completely broken. This game, if you take a look at it, is not balanced in any way, shape, or form. The game's been out for 1 day. Everyone has discovered 50% combos with every character. Raiden has a 100% touch of death. Now, the game does have combo breakers, meaning at any point you can break a combo, but you can only do it a limited amount of times. Isn't it like once per match or something like that, or once per round? So yeah, you can break a combo, but still, the game is out 1 day, and people have already figured out these insane things that should be like end game strategies, and it's 1 day, which leads me to believe that's going to be the whole game. It's going to be like you start playing fight. Oh, here comes one hit. Oh, guess what? You just lost. What? Now, I've told you guys about this in the past. I don't like games like that. King of Fighters 15 was exactly the same. Little hop, little hop, little hop, one hit, 90% combo, game over. What? Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Mix up, one hit. Oh, touch of death. Next person comes in, air break. You can't block in the air. Touch of death. Wait, what? That's not a fighting game. That's called a combo exhibition. It's different. It's not meant to be like... Street Fighter 6 has some broken stuff. That is absolutely true. I will absolutely say that. But in Street Fighter 6, you're not seeing the entire game end in a second. You know what I'm saying? Like, only in certain circumstances can you see people do these ginormous damage combos. It's just nuts to me that it just seems like this game has been designed to be a flashy game. This game has been designed the most flash, the biggest combos, the most ridiculous stuff, just for the sake of fan service. So it'll be a good game to watch. You understand? But if you're trying to play this game competitively, this game's going to be a nightmare. At any moment, if someone who's played this game for a little bit hits you once, they're going to hit you with like a 50 to 100% damage combo. And now you have to judge, is it worth it for me to use my combo breaker that you can only use like rarely to interrupt this combo? Or do I just take the damage? Can I even recover from the amount of damage I'm about to take? It just seems stupid as shit. It doesn't seem to me like this game has been designed to be competitive. It's designed to be a spectator game. It'll make you go, ooh, ah, look at that combo, or wow, look at that gory fatality. But it's not going to be like, wow, look at that high level of competition, you know? And so when I'm watching that, I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, and this is day one. So you can imagine in a few weeks what people will discover with half the cast. So how do you counter that? Because the thing is, any strategy in a fighting game isn't unstoppable. How are you going to stop that? Well, you're going to probably have to play the living shit out of the game to learn every nuance of every character. And by the way, the cast is pretty big in this game. To learn how to avoid those situations, when you should be combo breaking, how to implement your own cameos. Like, it just seems to me like, again, it's not a game that's accessible. That's probably the best way to say it. If you're someone who's going to sit here and you're going to absolutely focus on the game and play the shit out of it, okay, then it's going to be an okay game. But if you're someone who wants to more casually play it, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a viable game whatsoever. If any moment someone hits you can take your entire life bar, that's not a game for someone who just wants to play and enjoy. That's just a game for tryhards. And that's what it seems like. Like, they've catered this game to make it so unbalanced for the sake of looking flashy that they're going to lose the fun factor. And that's sad. Because I'm looking at it and I'm like, I already know, I've told you guys, I don't want to invest the amount of time that I've invested in Street Fighter 6 into this game. I already know for a fact that online connections are nowhere near as good as Street Fighter 6. The beta was terrible. And I can tell you this final version ain't going to be much better. Alright? So, why am I going to invest insane amounts of time, especially for a game when you know Mortal Kombat always falls off? Within a few months to a year, people aren't talking about it. People aren't playing it competitively. It's become an afterthought, a side tournament, a sideshow event, while games like Street Fighter and Tekken stay prominent. So why on earth would you want to invest the amount of time? I need to put so much time to avoid touch of death combos. Why is there touch of death combos in Mortal Kombat to begin with? And on day one, like they didn't try to make it balanced or fun or even, like I said, they removed gameplay elements from the last couple games that seemed to make it more like Street Fighter, and now they're going back to their roots of it just being kind of a party game, which is fine if that's really where they want to go and they feel like their better audience is in that realm. That's fine, but understand something then. I'm going to play the story. I'm going to try Invasion. I'll do some online play, but I don't see myself seeping a ton of time into this game then, if that's the case. If every time I play online, it's going to be you got hit once with a mix-up, you lose the whole round, then I don't want to play it anymore. It's just not fun. That's the equivalent of King of Fighters 15 to me. It's just, that's tired. That's an old formula for games before we got better than that. You know what I'm saying? That's an outdated gameplay formula, and it seems like they didn't try. I told you, even in the beta when I was playing, it's like, it doesn't feel like they tried here. It's very simple with the high-low mix-up that you can't block because of the lag playing online, and if they hit you, they're doing this giant combo. Like, this isn't fun. This is boring. This is stupid. This is outdated. You know what I'm saying? So, that's the deal. I'm thinking, like, I am still going to play a lot when it comes to this week. I want to play the whole story. I want to try Invasion, and I do want to try characters. I'll bring them in the lab, go online, try, but I can't commit to telling you guys, oh, I'm going to be playing this for 2-3 weeks, or I'm going to be playing it in sessions regularly. I don't even know. I don't even know till we get to that point if I'm going to like it. If I don't like it, I'm not going to force myself to keep playing it when I love Street Fighter 6. You understand? Like, Street Fighter 6 has problems, but it's a very good competitive game. That's the best Street Fighter game they've put out in over 10 years. I'm very happy with Street Fighter 6. I want to continue that journey. I want to continue that climb. I want to get more characters to master. I want to try out the DLC characters. I want to play at master level. That is going to take a ton of time investment. And to say, oh, well, now I'm going to also try to put this into this game because they made it so ridiculously non-accessible. I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. But again, I don't want to shut down the game. Maybe when I actually start playing it and I play it online, I'll like it. I don't know. But the beta literally turned me off. I played the beta for, what, 3 hours? I was bored. I was actually straight up bored with the game. I was like, wow, it feels like I'm playing a game from 15 years ago. Like, they didn't try anything improved or nothing. They just went right back to their old ways, and I didn't like it. So, I guess we'll see once I actually get into it, all right? So anyway, yeah, that's my story about Mortal Kombat 1. It's like, I'm excited to do it today and this weekend and put a lot of time into it this week. We're going to do all the offline content, and then we're going to eventually get to the online, but I'm not feeling too confident about it from everything I've seen online. Like I said, so yesterday, I was just watching a clip. You know Punk the God? He's a really high-level Street Fighter 6 player. He tried it out. He's using a character. I don't even know who it was. It was a character who had a sword. And he's in training mode. And he's got Garrus. That's the guy from Mortal Kombat 11. And he's just standing there crouching. And he walks up. He's got the sword. He's pressing the button. The sword, here's the animation. The person takes the sword and does like an upward thrust like this. And it's a big swooping animation right in front of them. Okay? He does it. It passes completely through Garrus and doesn't hit. He goes, what? So he literally stands there, just keeps pressing the button. It's just whoop, right through. Whoop, whoop, whoop. What the fuck? I'm standing right next to the character. The animation shows the sword passing through the body. It never hits once. What kind of a game is this where you can't even trust your eyes because the hitboxes are so stupidly wonky that it doesn't, you know what I'm saying? And he just kept doing it. He's like, dude, I don't know if I like this game. If the whole game's going to be like this, you got to memorize how every single normal button hits because it doesn't even match up with the animation. Like, what is this shit? So anyway, again, I guess we'll see what happens. But, anyway, there you go. So, all right. So Mortal Kombat 1 all day today. Like I said, probably tutorial, story mode. That's what we're going to focus on, and that's both streams, okay? Tomorrow, daytime stream also will be Mortal Kombat 1. Whether we're finishing up story mode or we actually start invasion mode, it remains to be seen how long it takes for us to get to that. Tomorrow night, the late stream on Saturday will be the conclusion of Chrono Trigger, okay? So that'll be fun to finish the game up. It's been a cool retro playthrough for the summer, but it's time to put the old games, you know, to rest so we can focus on all the new games coming out. Sunday, it's my DSP versus the Internet reaction show on DSP Reacts. Sunday night, we'll do more Mortal Kombat 1. Monday, for variety, the daytime stream will play Starfield, and then Monday night we'll do more Mortal Kombat 1, okay? Tuesday is the release of Lies of P, a game that, from all reports, is supposed to be playing like Bloodborne, all right? The reviews are saying it's quite good. I don't know if I can trust reviews because reviewers always, I don't know, man. When it comes to these Soulsborne style games, these people, oh, it's my forte and I love it. No, even when the games are not that interesting. But it's on Game Pass. I want to check it out. We're going to play it all day Tuesday. And if I play it all day Tuesday and I like it, then I'll continue to play it and we'll put it into the rotation as a playthrough. If I play it all day Tuesday and I freaking hate it, you know, then I'm not going to do it. We'll see what happens. But I haven't played it. I didn't do the demo. We'll give it a shot on Tuesday and we'll see what happens, okay? Wednesday is completely up in the air. I might play Lies of P. I might do Mortal Kombat, you know? Like I said, I think the late night stream on Wednesday, I actually do want to play Street Fighter 6 Lily, because if I don't play with her once a week, I'm probably going to get super rusty and lose everything I have. And I'm already at 4-star diamond. I don't want to lose that momentum. So I'm thinking we'll do a session of Lily Wednesday night to end the week. But the daytime stream would be up in the air. I'm not sure what I would do, okay? So there you go. Let's see what happens. That's the week now. Now, next week, there's nothing. No new releases at all. On the 27th of this month is the release of Aki in Street Fighter 6. I will be fully covering her, meaning playing, you know, trying out her trials, trying her online, just like we did with Rashid. I'm going to do kind of the same thing when Aki comes out later this month. So we'll see how that goes. You know, that's still about 2 weeks away. But when she comes out, I'm very excited to try that character and go from there. Okay? So, good stuff. That's what I'm planning. No special event this month on purpose. I mean, how on earth would we even do a special event? A marathon or whatever with all this stuff going on with these releases? You know, it wouldn't make sense. But I want to say thank you. It's been a great month so far for content. Especially now we're heading into the fall gaming season where all these new releases are going to be hitting constantly. And next month we'll have a lot. Next month we're setting up for the Halloween event, so you guys will start nominating horror-themed games for me to play for that. I'm going to get a Halloween costume for that. I'll be decorating for Halloween. In addition, once a week I'm planning on reviewing a horror movie for DSP Reacts. So we got a lot of stuff going on once, you know, we get to October. But for this month, we're pretty much very, very busy with all these new games. Okay? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like my content, please support it. I am an independent individual. I do not have a sponsorship or a partnership with any other company. I do not have any kind of paid product placements. I don't shill products. I don't give you referral codes for money. I really don't even run advertisements on my streams besides maybe one quick ad break if I'm using the bathroom. I don't really go crazy to monetize. The reason is because I feel if I'm true to myself and truthful and transparent with you, I don't owe anyone anything. I don't have to kiss a game's butt. On the same time, I don't benefit from when I slam a video game. So therefore, I can be completely honest. And because of that, my content's a lot different than what a lot of YouTubers have done over the years, who they've kind of had to bend one way or the other. They have these big product placement segments. I don't have any of that, okay? That's a good thing, in my opinion, because it differentiates me. However, I do rely on your guys' crowdfunding support to keep this going. For 15 years, I've been able to be truly independent and honest with you as my audience, and I absolutely love that. I don't want that to change. So if you like this style of content and you want to see it continue, please support it in some way. Here's how you can do that. First of all, if you're watching this content live or on demand, liking the stream or the on-demand video helps for engagement. If you want to leave some comments on an on-demand video, that also helps. Even a comment as simple as, hey, just leaving this because I like your content and I want to help you out. Literally, that's cool, man. If you're watching here live, to talking with me in the chat as we're playing today, that's another great way to help, all right? Now, if you want to go above and beyond the engagement factor, there's many ways that you can contribute. A super chat or a super sticker during a live stream, or a super thanks on an on-demand video. You could do a membership or a gifted membership. Gifted memberships right now would be ginormously positive for the community. With all the new games that'll be coming out in the next 2 months, people are absolutely going to want to have a membership to have access to all of my emotes, to be able to talk unlimited in the chat without the slow mode thing, highlighted comments. You're going to be able to nominate games for the October Halloween event. All this stuff, member benefit. So please consider becoming a member now, or if you'd like to help the community, maybe give some memberships to the channel. People would be very appreciative of that, okay? And of course, tipping is a great way to help as well. When you tip me, that's a direct contribution to my PayPal. I get that immediately. I get less of a cut taken out of that than other contribution methods, and it helps out a lot, you know, to pay bills, to afford games. I just dropped over $120 on Mortal Kombat 1, so it would help a lot, okay? All right. So thanks in advance for any contributions. Any that come in today, I will shout out near the end of the show. Because right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are heading into the ginormously big news segment that I like to call my favorite segment, your favorite segment, Hayabusa's favorite segment. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for DSP News. That is right. And we got a million things to talk about. Because there was a Nintendo event yesterday. There was a Sony event yesterday. There's updates on all kinds of stuff. First of all, I'll just do the funny story of the day. Elon Musk's ex has agreed to try to settle claims by thousands of former Twitter employees who say they were cheated of severance pay. Basically, when Elon Musk bought Twitter, he laid off thousands of employees and didn't pay them severance, even though legally they were supposed to get it. So they're all suing him. I just thought that was kind of funny because they're probably going to win. You can't just ignore employment laws. Just because you bought a company, you don't get the chance to do that. You have to abide by the law, and he seems like he thinks he's above the law. He's not. Anyway, let's continue on. Remember a few days ago I had that story about Unity? That game engine that tons of game developers use to make their games, but that on the fly just decided to change their entire monetization model, that they were now going to charge a flat rate per install fee once a game sold past a certain amount, and that game developers were coming out of the woodwork to say not only is this horrendous, but it could put them out of business, and that they really need to reverse, face on this. First of all, here's the updates on this, okay? So, Unity came out and said, well, what we'd like to do is clarify, because we think there's a lot of confusion. And the funny point is, there was no confusion. No one wants this practice to happen, but Unity is spinning it as if, oh, the reason you don't like this is because you don't understand it. Not because it's a horrendous practice that will ruin game developers, but because we just don't get it yet. So they came out with a bunch of posts and press releases basically saying, okay, it's not as bad as you think. First of all, we're not going to charge you for any demo installs. Also, we're not going to charge you for Game Pass installs, okay? And also, if you have charity events, we'll be sure to make that the exception for charity stuff. So basically, all the things that people said were problems, oh, don't worry, we're not going to count all of that. But then came up the topic of malicious installs. So what does that mean? It means someone's pirating your game, which happens all the time, okay? Games get pirated every single day, and according to Unity, every single time a game gets installed, it'll be tracked, and if it gets tracked, it'll count towards your company, and you'll owe them money. But what if someone stole your game? So here's what Unity said about that. Wait till you hear this one, okay? So, they're not going to count those against you, but there's no way they could possibly figure out what's a legit install and what's not at first. So you're going to get a bill as a game developer for every install of your game, but then you can tell them after the fact how many were malicious. They'll just trust you, and then you'll get a refund. Does that sound legit to you? Does that sound like that's a good business practice that would make sense and would be stable for any company? Does that sound, oh, just trust us, we'll believe you, and we'll refund you for the money that you paid us up front? And again, the whole point is that if you're in a situation where you're an indie game dev and you have a lot of money, how are you supposed to afford that, right? Oh, just pay the upfront and then get reimbursed later? No, that will not work, okay? So there's a few other things they've come out to as to say as well, that they claim, oh, it's just because you don't understand. But everyone's basically like, no. We do understand. We get it. We totally get it. We just don't want this practice. You're going to ruin us. And even more game companies have come out and said, I probably said like another dozen or more have come out in the last 24 hours, all publicly stating, if Unity does not scale back this change, we're probably going to have to stop making games in Unity. We'll just have to quit on this engine, and we'll have to go and do other stuff. There's nothing else we can do. We can't afford this model moving forward. We'll have to start over from scratch. So the funny part is, you would think, well, because Unity has all this bad press, the company must have tanked. No, they lost less than 5% of value. They did have an initial little stock drop, and then they actually kind of recovered a little bit. They've only lost about 5% of the value of their company. So you might say, so what would be the incentive then if they don't think like this is going to affect them and they could just pull this off to rip off these game developers? Okay. Well, what's going to happen? Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. You ready for this? Now, by the way, before I even read you this story, I want you to understand something. I don't support it and I don't condone it. This is a fact. Here's what happened yesterday. Unity had to cancel their own town hall, and they had to close 2 of their offices because CEO John Riccicello said they have received credible death threats. So they literally got like bomb and death threats for doing this. Now, again, I want you to understand something. I don't condone that. I don't support it. But you decided to change your entire business model without consulting any of your customers or anyone in the industry purely on the notion of making more money, i.e. greed, and you could literally screw over entire game dev companies, and you might actually have people lose their livelihood because of your decision. What did you think was going to happen? People would be happy? Are you fucking stupid? Yes, you are stupid. Rick DiCello, whatever the fuck your dumbass name is, you're a fucking moron. And that's why people are reacting this way. They shouldn't be doing horrible crimes, but at the same time, when you're in the process of ruining people's lives for your own personal greedy reasons to satisfy the shareholders, what the fuck did you think was going to happen? People were going to show up with gifts? You're a dunce, and you shouldn't be in charge of any fucking company whatsoever. Anyway, I'm sure we will continue to follow the Unity story. Now, another story that has happened, and it was a clickbait story, which is pretty disappointing to see IGN do a clickbait story. What a surprise. IGN had this story yesterday. Square Enix has lost nearly $2 billion since June when Final Fantasy XVI launched, and a new report casts doubt if the company will ever be able to recover. Even though that is a factually true story, it's a clickbait story. It makes it sound like the reason that Square Enix lost $2 billion is because of Final Fantasy XVI. Okay? If you actually delve further into the reasoning that they lost all that money is because they put an insane amount of money into Avengers a couple years ago, 3 years ago now, and that flopped. They tried to reinvigorate Avengers, and that flopped. And then they just had Forspoken in January, and that flopped. So it's like multiple efforts to have these great games come out, and they've all flopped, okay? In fact, the only real sales success that Square Enix has had in the last several years was the Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's it. Everything else they've been doing has essentially flopped, okay? So the whole idea that IGN is spinning this like it's Final Fantasy XVI's fault is completely disingenuous, and IGN continues on to be a clickbait site. They're terrible. IGN still has stupid shit like, a goldfish has defeated a boss in Elden Ring. Really? That was an article that they put out front page news and they posted all over social media. Well, how is that a news story? A goldfish playing Elden Ring? Fuck you. You fucking hacks. If that's the you think is news, then don't operate. Shut your doors. We don't need to see your junk on the internet, okay? Anyway, the truth is, all right, they had expected Final Fantasy XVI to essentially be the game that would save Square Enix. That has not happened, okay? In fact, if you go here, Square Enix reported a sharp profits decline in August. So here's the deal. It doesn't seem to make sense, right? Because if Final Fantasy XVI was a huge success, wouldn't their profits have gone up over the summer? The game came out in late June, so you say the initial sales were $3 million. why wouldn't the sales have gotten better in July and carried into August and had a good summer? It actually was the opposite. But again, there's a reason Square Enix is not giving sales numbers out for Final Fantasy 16. It actually hasn't done well. The initial 3 million was probably the majority of people who bought the game. And after that, word of mouth said, and the game has not sold well. So they were really banking on this game doing well, and it didn't. And now they have nothing to make money. Okay? They're pretty boned right now. Now, continuing on, after it says, the sources told Bloomberg the root of Square Enix's problem is that the producers of the company are being given full reign over the scope and direction of their project, and therefore goals can shift without warning, which creates volatility and uncertainty. Yeah, for example, Final Fantasy 16 doesn't even feel or play like a Final Fantasy game. They gave full control of that game to the producer/directors, so they do whatever they want with it, but that's not necessarily what the customer base wants, is what we talked about recently. If you're going to make a game that's Final Fantasy, you kind of have to retain something to make it Final Fantasy. And simple having one Google and a few enemies in the game from Final Fantasy doesn't make it a Final Fantasy game. Sorry. So sadly, I hate to say it, they need to redesign their entire methodology of what they're doing right now, which may be happening because, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday there was a big Sony event. And during that Sony event, they decided to drop a bombshell. And if you want to know the truth, I actually feel the reason that they dropped this bombshell yesterday was because they needed this because their games are doing so horribly. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which essentially will be the second in a trilogy of Final Fantasy VII Remake games. This is supposed to be the content that's in the middle of Final Fantasy VII. Has now been slated for a release date of February 29th, 2024. And essentially, we're being told the game could play up to 100 hours long if you do all of the content. Now, for those of us who played Final Fantasy VII Remake, that was just the Midgar portion of the game. And if you remember, when I played Final Fantasy VII a couple years ago, the Midgar portion of the game was less than 20 hours long, correct? I mean, it's a good chunk of the game, but it definitely is meant to be kind of the introduction to the game before the game goes open world and really starts feeling like true Final Fantasy. And that was an entire game already. So now you can imagine, once they go truly open world with the middle part of the game, how much content they're going to add to it, okay? So it will be on Sony consoles. I believe they're saying it's going to be, was it 4 months? 3 months? Shug says there was allegedly 3 months of exclusivity. So basically, yeah, if you remember, Final Fantasy VII Remake had a big exclusivity window on the PlayStation. Apparently, it will still have that on PS5, but it will only last like 3 or 4 months this time. It's not as long of a window. Okay? So that's kind of exciting. Here's the thing. Now that we know what to expect, now that we know that Final Fantasy VII Remake isn't a remake, it's a new game. They're reimagining the plot. It's the timeline, but shifted. Much like what they're doing with Mortal Kombat, right? It's kind of the same deal. Something's changed to change reality in the timeline. So now characters who had passed away in the original Final Fantasy VII are still alive. And, you know, that's kind of interesting to me. Admittedly, I think I'm more excited for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth than I was for Remake. Because now we know all bets are off. Everything is new. That's cool. We'll probably see a lot of the similarities from the original Final Fantasy VII, but when we're going to see new things happen in the plot, that's really neat. So I'm actually very excited for this game. I really am. Like, I'm actually more pumped now than I was for Remake, and I'm actually very excited to play it in February. I hope you guys are too. So that's coming out. That's a good release update. Also, another thing that happened during the Sony event, Resident Evil 4 Remake is actually getting its DLC separate ways. It's coming out on September 21st. Like, wait, what? Yeah, it comes out in 6 days. Like, what? Come on. Really? It's coming out now? It stars Ada Wong. She has all her exclusive missions, much like she did in the original Resident Evil 4, and it's $10. Okay? So, does it look good? I mean, it'll probably play well. You know what I mean? But am I going to be playing it? I don't know. How am I going to have time for that? I'm going to be playing Mortal Kombat, Starfield, Lies of P, still trying to get Street Fighter 6 in, and now I'm somehow supposed to fit in the Separate Ways DLC, right? So, I don't know. It may be a skip for me, being honest. And the thing is, I love Resident Evil 4 Remake. It's definitely one of my favorite games of this year, but I don't know how I'm going to fit that in. I would like to maybe do it, but traditionally what I've seen is when I try to do these DLCs, they don't do very well. Maybe we could do it as a thing for like Halloween Horror Month or something. I don't know, but we'll have to see. I'm very skeptical about being able to fit it into the schedule in 6 days, you know? Some people are saying save it for October. We might have to, all right? It might just be, especially because we don't know how long it is. If it's like 8 hours long, that's not a big deal. Maybe I could do a few streams of it, right? We'll see. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, before we get to the Nintendo event, which was insane, 2 more stories that are not Nintendo related. Story number 1, get this. So how many of you know about a game called Immortals of Avium? Exactly. Just reading the chat. I skipped it. I know about it, but I skipped it. I paid no attention to it. I've heard of it, but I didn't play it. Never heard of it. Literally, that's exactly the problem. This game was a game that apparently is not bad. People have said they've played it, and it was pretty good. I think Summer Game Fest was when we first heard of it, and it showed like a preview of it. I was like, oh, that game doesn't look too bad. But did you know it even came out? It actually came out between all those other releases of the summer. And because it did, you know, games like Baldur's Gate 3 overshadowed it. Even Final Fantasy 16 to some extent overshadowed it. So no one even knew that it was out. All right? The game has absolutely flopped. It's one of the biggest failure stories in game development. They put tons of time and effort into it, money. No one's played this game. It just completely went under the radar, and no one even knew it existed. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, Ascendant Studio, the makers of the game, have laid off nearly half of their staff. Only a few weeks after the game's release. Over 40 people have lost their jobs because no one bought the game. That's sad. And I feel like this summer was the exception summer, because normally you would say summertime's the best time to release a game like that. There's nothing else out. There's no competition. And therefore, people would jump on a game like that. But I sadly think that this summer was just a different animal entirely. We had Street Fighter 6. We had Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Final Fantasy 16, Diablo 4, Baldur's Gate 3, right? Now we have Starfield. We had all these games that were sucking up all the hype and attention. And normally a game like this maybe would have come out and would have loved it. But no one even knew it existed. And again, from people who've played it, they're basically saying that it's a really, really good game. But the funny part is, outside of Summer Game Fest, which I remember seeing gameplay of this. Remember, was it the first-person game that looked like there was like magic and elements to it? So it was a first-person RPG with magical elements. It looked good. But do you remember hearing anything else about this game? I literally didn't know it came out. I had no clue. I knew it was supposed to come out over the summer, but I didn't hear anything when it came out. So that must be just a failure of the marketing team. Because you don't know the game's out, who's going to buy it, right? And that's sad to know that a game that apparently people who played it said it's really good came out, no one played it, and literally half the company just got laid off. I mean, that sadly is just a symptom of our industry now, the gaming industry, is that we now have oversaturation. It seems like it doesn't matter when. There's just so many games coming out at any given moment that it's hard for any of them except the absolute biggest ones with the biggest budgets and the AAA style promotion to even get noticed. So I'm not surprised we didn't know about Immortals of Avium. And it's sad because it could be like a hidden gem that's a super good game that no one will ever play. I would say a game like this will likely shine on Game Pass or PS Plus, but sadly, how else would you even know about it, right? Maybe it needed that. Maybe it needed that element of being free to play so that it would get some word of mouth. But being that I didn't even know it existed, you know? Sad. Because I don't like to hear that game companies who put out a good product aren't doing well, and apparently that's the exact case with them. All right, we're about to get to Nintendo, but there's one more story before that, all right? And that story is regarding EA, you know, our favorite company, Electronic Arts. Listen to this. EA has reportedly decided to end all support for their release Wild Hearts only 7 months after launch. Do you guys remember Wild Hearts? A few of you told me about it, but we knew that I wasn't going to play it because essentially Wild Hearts is their version of Monster Hunter. You know, Capcom makes Monster Hunter, and then EA said, well, we want to capitalize on that because Monster Hunter is very popular. Let's make our own version, okay? So it came out earlier this year. Was it like February or March? And reportedly it did okay. Like, I don't think it broke sales numbers or anything, but it did all right. And I guess they feel it didn't do good enough to warrant any ongoing support. So it's only been out 7 months, and that's it. The game's done. They're not going to do any more content for it. Supposedly they're completely dropping it. Wow. You know, it makes me sad because how do you even know what games to invest in anymore, right? What if you bought that game and you really liked it, right? What if you really enjoyed it? You're like, wow, this is cool. It's a competitor to Monster Hunter. Maybe there's some things about that game engine you like a little better than Monster Hunter. And you invested a lot of time into it. Because that's the kind of game it is. It's online co-op and everything. You invested all this time. And all of a sudden you get to, oh yeah, by the way, game over. We're not doing nothing else. It's done. We're moving on. Wait, what? But the whole game, the whole way the game's designed is that it's kind of like supposed to be like a roadmap style game. You know, you're advancing your build. You know. Oh, great. Well, I guess that's life. But ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for us to move on to the meat and potatoes. Because ladies and gentlemen, yesterday there was a ginormous Nintendo Direct. That it was announcement after announcement after announcement. Likely I'm going to miss some of the announcements. I'm just going to go through the ones that I highlighted and thought were important. Lara Croft. Anyone remember her? Lara Croft is coming back. Because they have redone the original 3 Tomb Raider games. And they're going to sell these as a remastered trilogy next year. On February 14th, Valentine's Day, it'll be coming out on PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, and the Nintendo Switch. The Lara Croft Tomb Raider original trilogy, now with HD graphics and widescreen support for the first time ever. Now, for those who played those games before, they're relics at this point. These games had tank controls, incredibly sluggish response time. Don't get me wrong, at the time, they were fun and revolutionary, but they were basically the first stepping stone towards the modern action exploration platformer. They were very rough around the edges, and they were very frustrating. So what's funny is that I get the feeling a lot of people will buy this on nostalgia factor alone, and then when they go to play it, they're going to be like, oh my god, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Because, again, these games are just not going to look great, okay? They were doing the screen wipe, all right? Here's old and here's new. And I was like, it doesn't even look better to me. It really doesn't. I think all they did is they did like a filtering effect on the old graphics, and there's a new model for Lara that looks more modern, and that's it. I think that's all they've done. Everything else looks exactly the same. So again, these games are going to play pretty bad, I feel. But I think it will sell. I think on nostalgia alone, people will buy this trilogy. I don't know if I'm going to buy it, but it will really be up to you guys. You want to see me play the classic Tomb Raiders? I mean, I had 1 and 2 back in the day, and I liked them, but man, they were annoying, difficult games, I remember. So, I guess we'll see, but, you know, that's just something. Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Does anyone remember that game? I do. It was only on, what was it, the DS at the time? It was a unique game, puzzle game. And it was supposed to be a throwback to, like, the kind of the original Donkey Kong games, but now you're playing real Mario, because technically that wasn't Mario and Donkey Kong. I know that sounds weird. They're porting this, a modern version, to the Switch, on February 16th of next year. If you're interested, I don't know if I would be interested or not. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, still coming out January 18th, and it actually looks really good, and I'm probably going to get it because it sounds like a really awesome retro throwback game. Princess Peach is getting her own action platformer game called Princess Peach Showtime, where she'll be getting themed power-ups like Fencer Peach or Chef Peach to do cool puzzles and platforming. This game is coming out March 22nd. That sounds interesting. I probably will check that one out. Luigi's Mansion 2 is getting an HD remake on the Switch. Luigi's Mansion 2 I bought when it was new for the Nintendo 3DS. This was back at the early days of me being a YouTuber, and I was going to conventions and traveling and all of that. And at that time, I was looking to have some games to take with me on trips. So I bought Luigi's Mansion 2, and I bought Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, and I maybe had one or two other games that I took with me on trips. But I never really played it. I never really played Luigi's Mansion 2. I played it for like 10 minutes maybe. Remember when I first got my 3DS capture device? That was one of the games I tested on there, and then I literally have never played the game. I played Luigi's Mansion 3 on the Switch, but I never played 2. So this will be an opportunity maybe for me to go back and play the game for the first time. That's coming out summer 2024, okay? Contra is coming back. This is crazy. Contra is coming back with a new game called Operation Galuga. It says it's a reimagined 80s classic from the same team who made Contra 4. For those who don't know, Contra 4 was an actual serious numbered Contra made exclusively for the Nintendo DS many years ago. It's ridiculously good. I played it and I loved Contra 4. I thought it was a super duper good game, but that was before the days of me doing the YouTube style content, so, you know, I didn't have any coverage of it. But I thought Contra 4 was crazy, so this is a new game from them, and it's coming out for Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox, and PC sometime in 2024. We just don't know when yet, okay? And then lastly, in my opinion, this is the biggest announcement. Are you ready for this, folks? Are you ready for this? This is a game that we have talked about for many, many years. This is a game you guys have told me is superb. It's a game that I told you guys I only played about 8 to 12 hours of, and I loved it, but I never finished it. Ladies and gentlemen, you ready for this? Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is getting a modern port to the Switch next year. Finally. Again, we've been talking about this game for many, many years. And I told you how I was playing it back in the day and I really, really liked it. You guys have told me this game was the spiritual successor to like Mario RPG. The whole Paper Mario series was. I am very excited. And yes, I will tell you right now, 100%, I am going to play this game with you guys. Yes. I've never fully experienced it. I owned it on GameCube back in the day. I played like 8 to 10, 12 hours of it and I loved it. But man, I never had a chance to play it again, and now we do. Now we'll finally be able to play it together, and I'm very excited for this. So I hope that you guys are excited for Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door next year, whenever it comes out. There's no release date yet, but I am down for that. All right, that makes me very excited, actually. So guys, that was one of the longest game news segments I've ever done. We are now almost at 12:30. So what I'm going to do is a couple shout-outs and some Q&A. We don't have a lot of shout-outs to do. We have Gatsukatsu re-upped his membership and said, "Yo, Phil, here's to another month. Thank you very much to Gatsu." And then we have Adam, who did a super chat and said, "Rebirth is making me very excited the more that I see about it." Yeah, and like I said, I'm actually really excited for it because now we know what to expect. Unlike last time, where I thought, oh, it's just a straight-up remake, it's not going to be that big of a deal. You now know it's not. It's a whole reimagining of the plot with brand new threads, and the story can change. I think, of course, here's the deal. We all want to know, will Aerith... Is it Aerith or Aerith? I always get confused because her name is different depending on when you play the game. I think the question is, will she survive this time or not? We already know that Cloud's counterpart, who died in the original plot of Final Fantasy VII, is still alive in this one. The timeline has shifted, basically. So what's going to happen now? How will that affect the plot? Because essentially now there's two Clouds. When you think about it, they're basically two of the same kind of person. So how will that? Will you get to play as them? Will they be a party member? Will they be an enemy? You don't know. And then what's going to happen with Aerith or Eris? Will she survive? That was one of the biggest things that everyone was so sad about. Will someone else die instead? We're going to find out. And we might find out in Rebirth. We'll have to see. All right? So it's actually way more exciting to me now. So thank you, Adam. But sadly, guys, that's it. I have nothing else to shout out. There's no tips, no super chats, no memberships. That's it. So if you'd like to contribute, now would be a good time to do it so I could shout it out. But in the meantime, let's see what people want to talk about. Jay says he beat the whole story. He did. He says he beat the whole story yesterday in one day. He loves Invasion. He loves the classic towers. Cool. I'm glad. I've actually been told, don't do the classic towers, i.e. arcade mode, until you beat the story, because the endings you get in classic towers are epilogues to what already happened in the story mode. So story mode should be the first thing anyone does in the game, so I'm glad we're doing that first. Okay. Carlton Jr. says, I think you should take time to play Intergrade before it releases. It's short, has required information in it, but to know before Rebirth. I mean, we could, again. Number one, I don't even have, like, what did I play? Didn't I play Final Fantasy VII? Hold on, I'm trying to think about this. Didn't I play Final Fantasy VII Remake on PS4? Or did I play it on PS5? Hold on. I do have it on PS5. Apparently it carried over because it says download. So that's good. Okay. And then if I wanted to get Intergrade, I can't get it. No, apparently I have it already. Apparently I have it already. But it says, upgrade to PlayStation Plus Extra to access this game and hundreds more in the game catalog. But it says I already have it. Because I went to download it. It says you can't download this. You already have it as part of Remake. It was included with the PS5 version. Oh. So if I download Remake, I have it. Well, we'll have to, let's look into that. If you guys would like me to play that maybe like in January, and if it is short as you're saying, it might make sense to do that because it might reintroduce me to the whole gameplay style. Keep in mind we haven't played this in many years now. That's actually a good suggestion. Let's start talking about this December, January. Bring it up again back, and then when we get to a time when all the new releases are done with, I would absolutely consider it. So thank you for that. Wow, King Be Cruel just dropped 5 memberships on the community. Wow, congratulations to the following people. Super Jerk, Billy Inc. 4C, Raul, Stuart Ace, and Mishael. Congrats to all of you. And thank you so much, King Be Cruel. I hope that you enjoy that. By the way, my internet is dropping out again, but it's not. I mean, this is something going on with YouTube right now. Yeah, YouTube is having issues with connections. It just happened again, but I'm back again. You see this? This happened yesterday during my stream. It's YouTube that's doing this because the chat kept going, and yesterday, all right, when this happened yesterday with my internet, I thought it was my internet, but I was playing online in Street Fighter 6 and it didn't drop. This is a YouTube side issue. So YouTube seems to be having some technical issues with streaming. This happened yesterday twice during my Street Fighter 6 stream. All right? Very odd. Anyway, if it happens, sorry about that. And I don't know what's going on there, why that's happening. It's not anything I'm doing on my end. It just seems to be a YouTube side technical issue, but it seems like the stream comes right back, so don't worry. Sorry about that, though. So thank you, King Be Cruel, for the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you to Alex from Phoenix, who just did a super chat. He says, Jean-Claude Van Damme skin for Johnny Cage, featuring his likeness and voice. I'm aware of that. I probably am not going to get it if it costs money. If it's free, maybe I'll get it. But if it's like anything, you would think they should have included it because I bought the more expensive edition of the game. But maybe they didn't. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Thank you for that, Alex. I received a $13 tip, excuse me, from Big Larry Gaming. This is a bigger tip than normal size. I have a lot to say. All right. Well, let me go ahead and, first of all, get you on the leaderboard. Let's see what you have to say. So he says, I was watching some videos on the whole Unity thing, and I saw something scummy. Seems like people who are mean enough could create a bot to spam, download, and uninstall and rack up the costs to a game that they don't like. Yeah, you're right. Unity says they will not charge re-downloads, but it seems like hackers know a way to make it look like a new system downloaded it every single time. I wish Unity developers the best. I hope that they don't get hurt by this baffling decision. I am super hyped for Mario RPG. They added a new boss fight, and you can refight old bosses. Also, they added new triple attacks. See, I didn't even talk about that this morning. Yeah, they added new triple attacks to the game as well. This new Mario RPG or Super Mario RPG is going to feel like a new game. I'm excited. That's what, December? No, November, right? I'm pumped for that. Juan, I have no idea who you're talking about. So I know you've been spamming the chat to tell me that. I don't know who that is, so I wouldn't bring it up. Okay. Someone says, why can't I tip? Has the system gone down? Well, considering I literally just received a $13 tip, I don't think the system has gone down. No. I would say no. Carlton Jr. says, I feel like they rushed this Mortal Kombat to keep momentum going between the movies. It might be why they skipped Injustice. I think you're right. If you want to know the truth, I think you're right. I think this game, they wanted to have more Mortal Kombat hype going. They wanted to try to make Mortal Kombat more an overall entertainment medium rather than just a game franchise. They had that first movie. The second one's on the way. And again, if you take a look, I think that's honestly why it doesn't it doesn't seem like it has that much drawn out in the competitive nature. It just seems to be going back to the 2000s. For me, that's what it looks like. It looks like it's a party game. It's like launch, then jump after launch, follow up air combo, grab move, hit them to the ground, go to the ground, continue the combo, launch, air combo, follow up, 50% damage. But that was one combo, and you hit me once. With an anti-air, too. It wasn't even like you hit me soundly with a combo or mix-up. You just happened to catch me out of the air, and I lost more than half my energy bar. What is this game? It just doesn't seem very good. I'm just being honest, but we'll see what happens as I actually play. I mean, I spent over $120 on it. I would hope that at least there's something good in this game. I hope the story and invasion mode are good. We'll see. Okay. Willow, you're welcome. Thank you for the super thanks. Escanor Sin of Pride says Tales of Arise DLC looks really good. Yeah, I never got to it. Never got around to it. Never really seemed to be much desire for me to play it. The Tales of series, I don't know. I told you guys that when I was getting back into video games, console games in 2007, I played Tales of Vesperia. It was the first Tales of game I ever played. I absolutely loved it. I loved everything about it. The combat, the gameplay style, the art style, the story. I grinded endlessly. I unlocked everything in the game. I basically got everything in the game. And then when I became a YouTuber, I told you guys about it, and no one really seemed too excited for the Tales of games. I played Tales of Exilia, and that one I would say was not as good as Vesperia. I thought it was still a good game, but this was back when I was more popular, and people liked whatever I played. So even though it was a lengthy JRPG, it still had a fan base. When I played Tales of Exilia 2, it didn't work out. People didn't like it. I didn't like it. Then we tried Tales of Symphonia, and that one didn't work either. So we never went back and never played a Tales of game, and there never really has seemed to be much demand for me to play the Tales of franchise for whatever reason. So, yeah, I don't know. Yes, I saw both original Mortal Kombat movies from the 90s, of course. They're cult classics. Everyone is doing good, Phaser. Thank you for asking. Carlton Jr. says, I remember playing Tales of Arise during COVID. It couldn't retain my interest. Scarlet Nexus came out around the same time. It was a much better game. Well, there you go. Dabhand says, any interest in Star Ocean's second story? I don't even know what that is. I know Star Ocean is an RPG. That's literally all I know. So there you go. Mortal Kombat Annihilation is anything but a classic. How dare you say that, Shia? How dare you? How could you? I'm very upset that Shia would say that. It had some of the most revolutionary CGI I've ever seen. It is glorious! I've seen it so many times, I know all the cheesy quotes from it, too. The best part is those rollerball things, where they roll around Outworld in these fucking balls. I was like, what the fuck is this, American Gladiators? Like, what happened? Okay. Anything else you guys would like to talk about today? We have a few extra minutes. Phaser says they did bring back the tattoo thing for the newer movie, Laughing Out Loud. They did? The spirit animal tattoos or whatever for animalities? That's in it? Oh my god. I may play Texas Chainsaw Massacre next month. I don't know. We'll see. Remember, I have a Halloween event next month. People might vote it in. What version is $120? What do you get with it? Yeah, let me look. Here it is. View product. So, what did I get with it? I got Mortal Kombat 1, the Combat Pack, early access to DLC characters, early access to Mortal Kombat 1, the Jean-Claude Van Damme skin, and 1,250 Dragon Crystals with a K. So there you go. That's what I got. I don't know what that means. I actually have no idea. I just wanted to play it early. I wanted to play it before Tuesday because I'm going to be starting Lies of P on Tuesday. So I paid more money. I don't know what the crystals even do in this game. I received a $2 tip. No name attached to this one. It says funny story. I shared this for videos for DSP versus the internet. I posted videos for this week and last week's by mistake. Not really an MK fan, but new games are always fun to watch. So wait, what? You post? How did you post this week's and last week's? Huh? Well, as long as you post up for this week, you're all right. Oh wait, I know what you're saying. You're saying you posted up your videos for this week in last week's threads, then post them up in this week's threads. The threads are still live. Post them up in the correct threads. That's fine. I'm never going to check last week's threads ever again. So it doesn't matter what you post late. Just post them into this week's threads. You'll be all set. No, I never played a Kung Fu Panda board game. Where do I tip? I'm trying to drop some money, says Timmy. Well, let's see. There's a command for it. You can look at the description of the stream. You can look at the description of any video. There's a tips section on my YouTube page. How else? Should I send you a letter with instructions on how to do it too? I appreciate you wanting to contribute, but I kind of find it being a little bit silly and facetious that you would ask how to tip. It's pretty apparent how to do it. He wants me to send a carrier pigeon. There you go. No, here's what I'm going to do. Look outside. Look to the skies. I'm going to start sending smoke signals on how to do it. Ready? There you go. All right, guys. I think it's time to end the show. I got to use the restroom before we start regardless. All right, so we're going to have a few minutes break here, and then we're jumping right into Mortal Kombat 1. Like I said, we'll try the tutorial mode. We'll try to learn the new basics and everything, and then we'll get into the story. We'll jump in. We'll see how it goes. All right, thank you all. I'm being told, Tito Man says, the crystals are for purchasing exclusive pieces of gear and outfits. So it's just things to make your character look a little different. So I probably won't even be interested in that until we even get to online play. All right. Which could be a while. It might be all week. All right. Guys, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the show. Man, did we have a lot to talk about. One of the longer ones. And I hope that you guys enjoyed the news segment. Tomorrow we will likely get back to normal, although I'll have probably a lot to say about Mortal Kombat 1 as we get to it tomorrow. Thank you all. Enjoy the show. See you tomorrow for the MK1 summary roundup. And try not to get buried in a pile of leaves, although if you live where I am, it's still summer weather, so I don't know how that's possible. All right, see you guys tomorrow.